My mic, good.
Good. Mic check 1, mic check 2. We are live, but we are also on tape. We are deep down in the bowels of Lease Music, episode 49. Kamloops last week, Chris Foulds, Greg the engineer, Magic Mike at the controls. Episode 50, should that be the end of season 1?
Well, season 1 should end when we started the first one, which was in May. So we're in season 2 now, 49.
You think we're in season 2? Oh, no, we can't, because I've already been putting season 1 on all the podcasts. We're still in season 1.
Wow, season 1. I guess you can go 18-month seasons or something like that. Anyway, we're episode 49, like Rocky Marciano. 49-0 when he retired, the only heavyweight champion to retire undefeated. We're like Rocky Marciano, and then he died in a plane crash, so that's not very good.
It's always got to be something.
Something after that.
Hitler,
yes.
Somebody dying. Great show today. Bernadette Siracky.
Yes, the executive director of the Kamloops Food Bank. She's going to come in and talk about the challenges they're facing with this inflation and with food banks across the country. Calling it, the toughest summer ever, and maybe how people can help them. They just opened a new distribution center, so she'll talk about the challenges they're facing, what they need, how people can help, and maybe what she forecasts down the road.
Also having some challenges, the Kamloops Skydivers Club. They're in fact going to be closing their doors unless there's some kind of a miracle. So Heather Sutherland, she's going to come on and talk to us over Zoom. And also you want to talk about, in Above the Folds, gluttonous politicians.
Yeah, just another story, national story came out about spending, and it's not
once again
more sirens. It's just about spending, and it's about especially in this climate where people are really hurting financially, and you have these stories of politicians and staff spending. It's not exorbitant related to the budget, but it's not a very good. They need to read the room better.
Okay, I haven't talked to you about this yet, but one of the greatest days of your life, probably, on Saturday. 59-15 over the Edmonton Elks.
Yeah, that's Lucky Whitehead, and this is Nathan Rourke, the young Canadian quarterback. 5 touchdowns in his first start, or second start. 3 by air, 2 by land, and it was a great game, hey? 59-15 over Edmonton, and like we see, Lions fans say, an Eskimo loss, an elk loss, is as good as a Lion win, because we hate that team all the way back from when smarmy Hugh Campbell ran that team and rubbed it in the Lions for those 5 straight Grey Cup years. Saturday was great. 34,000 fans. The weather broke just perfectly for them. Everybody who was at the game, I wasn't at the game, I was at my Lion man cave watching it, but everyone who was at the game said it was the most remarkable experience they've had in a long time.
You actually told me when I interviewed Rick Campbell last June to mention Nathan Rourke.
Can we expect to see some Nathan Rourke?
I really like Nathan. He was in the previous year's draft, and we drafted him high for a reason, and so he's going to be able to come in and compete right away. So we'll see what he's got. I know he's a winner. His college career, I believe they won 3 bowl games, which they hadn't come close to that before. So there's something to be said for guys that are winners, especially at the quarterback position. I really look forward to seeing him to get out there and see what he does, and if it fits right, then we'll use them.
You heard about Nathan Rourke a long time ago on this very show, Kamloops last week, before anybody knew.
That's right.
Thanks to Foldsy. But I do want to caution you, okay? Don't get too excited. One game.
It's one game.
I know how you're going to get. This is going to be like Grey Cup. Oh, here we go. But just take it easy.
I said before the season starts, if they go 10-8 or 11-7, it's a very good year. Now they'll probably go 14-4. So 15-3 maybe. It's 18-0 is not out of the realm of possibility. This kid is the real deal. But like you say, we'll see when they play the real teams.
Okay, they got a bye week here, so hopefully that doesn't ruin their momentum. Our momentum going strong on this show, thanks in part to our sponsors, Mike. McDonald's Coffee, part of the great consortium that we have. Also part of that consortium, Gord's Appliance and Mattress Center. 195 subscribers as we head into episode 50. So help us get over the hump. Can we get to 200 by next week? Today it's all about New Leaf Produce Market. You mentioned some of the hard times in these gluttonous politicians. Well, guys like Herman Hothe and anyone who runs farms, it's been a tough year for them. Everything's been kind of pushed back with the weather. But finally, some good news coming for them. Those strawberries, that they get help with from their Abbotsford, out there in Abbotsford with
Newfeld
Farms.
Yep.
They're supposed to be coming in soon, so go to New Leaf Produce Market, check it out, and check this commercial out right now.
New Leaf Produce Market. Straw. Berries. Harmon and Steve, they're best buddies. They're in cahoots with the strawberries. Newfeld makes them down in Abbey, and New Leaf takes them back to Gammy. Harmon and Steve, they're best buddies. They're in cahoots with the strawberries. Newfeld makes them down in Abbey, and New Leaf takes them back to Gammy.
This is Mary Simon. She is the relatively new Governor General of Canada. Governor General, of course, is the Queen's representative, almost a purely ceremonial role. So it was a week-long trip to the Middle East, and they went to Kuwait, and they went, I think, to Dubai and a few other countries. But the catering bill for 1 week, so this is just in the plane. This isn't on the ground.
Yeah.
In the plane for 1 week was $100,000. Catering. Now, I don't know how many people were in there. I don't think there was hundreds because the plane only has so much. So $100,000
It just seems in this day and age, how stupid
Well,
can you be?
it's just tone deaf, because when people are like, gas is $2.20 like a liter up here, people are struggling. I mean, a head of lettuce is $4. I mean, it's hard. It's hard times, right? And then you have this. What you have is another level of people who will say they understand, but they don't understand. Now, I'm not saying her background, she might have had hardships, but the people in power who have been in power for a long time, they don't, if they've never had struggles, they don't know struggles. Mm-hmm. So what a struggle is to them would be winning a lottery for someone else sometimes. On March 31st of this year, the Governor General and her husband and some staff flew from Ottawa to Toronto for a function. It's a 1 hour and 5 minute flight, 1 hour. And there's a $400 catering bill for that. Why?
Yeah.
That's like flying from here to Vancouver with a dozen people and needing $400 worth of food and drink. It's not in the whole scheme of her office's budget or Canada's budget. It's nothing, but it's the optics.
Yeah.
It's not cool. And then Julie Payette, her predecessor, who resigned amid bullying allegations and all this, the former astronaut. When she resigned, reporters did an FOI, and it turns out that in 2021, last year, the finances changed. So every outgoing Governor General, I think there's 4 or 5 living right now, when she leaves, when Mary Simon leaves, like Julie Pat left, they get a $150,000 a year pension, plus they're allowed to expense to the taxpayers $206,000 per year after they leave the job. Where do you get a deal like that? I mean, holy cow! I got my pension statement from Kamloops this week last week.
I'm in big trouble.
And it said, hey, congratulations! If you keep contributing the amount you're contributing when you're 65, you'll get $8,000 a year.
Yeah.
I'm serious.
Yeah.
I should have become a teacher or a Governor General. But the point is.
You wouldn't be a good Governor General. You would be fired so quick, and not for money. You'd be popping off on social media.
It's indicative of the tone deaf thing. Kamloops this week did here's the ironic part here. Kamloops this week in 2021 did a big feature on TNRD spending that changed a lot of things. It made for a lot of good change. And we're up for the Missioner Award, which is the premier journalism award in Canada. We're the only non-daily paper, I think, ever to be nominated. We're going up against the Globe and Mail, CBC, and Global. I'm tooting our own horn, yes. However, the Missioner Award was created by a Governor General Missioner in 1971. And we get to go, some of us get to go to Ottawa this fall in Rideau Hall. And guess who's going to be there to greet us?
Yeah.
Mary Simon.
What type of expense bill are you going to rack up on KTW?
I am not going to expense anything. I'm paying for everything. And when I meet Mary Simon, I'm not accepting one morsel of food.
You better not have had too many pints before you
I
meet
am
her.
not. No, she's probably a great lady, and she's just doing her job, and the staff do all that. I get that, but I'm just saying it's got to stop.
You mentioned that, but my point is, like, we're lucky to have a great reporter like Wallace who is able to uncover that. They know how much under the microscope they are on that federal level, and yet they still go. Aren't you thinking like, hey, maybe we should be careful about these bills?
That goes back to a point that we've spoken up before on this show. Is I don't think they realize the collective they don't realize what they're doing, how it's seen to the great unwashed like us,
Yeah.
the people who like can barely get by check to check, because to them a $400 catering bill from Ottawa to Toronto is like us going to McDonald's. They don't get it. A lot of people locally, provincially, and federally don't get it. And I'm not blaming them for not getting it because they've never lived that life that we probably lived and everybody else has lived to a degree.
I know who does get it. Bernadette Siracky.
That's right. Well, more
Kamloops
than anyone.
Food Bank.
More than anyone, absolutely.
And we'll find that out right now in Last Week This Week. Bernadette Siracky, a beam of sunshine, says Mike Miltimore. You join us this morning. Fouldsy, you lead the way here. Why have we brought Bernadette on?
Okay,
this morning?
so it's 2022. Inflation is going through the roof. Interest rates are slowly creeping up. Now, 41 years ago, in 1981 in January, the very, 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 very first food bank in Canada opened. Who are you seeing coming in? What's the increases like? How critical is it getting?
Wow. I could talk for half an hour just on those three questions right there. First of all, you know what? I'm from Edmonton.
Oh, yeah.
I was born and raised in
I
Edmonton.
spent 6 years there.
Well, I was
There you
there
go.
when in 81.
Well, you were there during the...
Right.
I thought you might have been in diapers at the time. But
That's a compliment.
Okay. Yes.
I'll take it as a compliment. Unfortunately, I have clear memories from 81.
Yes, absolutely, yes. Yeah. And it was bad.
It was terrible. Honestly, in Alberta especially, I remember companies folding and just leaving all of their heavy equipment in place and just walking away from it, walking away from their houses. It was that dramatic at that time. I absolutely remember that. And another interesting point, honestly, for Kamloops is that in 1982, the first food bank started, and it was in the church, or in the basement. So when you said in the, churches were
kitchen.
operating
Yeah,
soup
yeah.
kitchens, it was started by Hank Woodward here and the United Church on.
There you go, on 4th and St. Paul.
And St. Paul in the basement there.
They do the pit stop there.
Yeah, we've been in there.
That's
we
right.
volunteered there once. Yeah.
And that's where the original food bank in Kamloops started around that same time. So we were feeling those effects across the country. And then when I started at the food bank here in 2008, again, very young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, right during another economic crisis.
Right?
Yes, the worst since the Great Depression.
Yes.
Yes.
So when I came on board, it was mere months later that our numbers of clients accessing us at the Kamloops Food Bank were going up dramatically, like the most dramatic increase, not just here, but across Canada at food banks since inception. So, and now what we're noticing is something very different, a very different pattern again.
Different than 08, different than 81?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because first of all, who has been in a situation financially or in the greater financial picture where we are recovering not just as a country but as a world? The whole world is recovering from a global pandemic. In some ways it's unexpected, it's unprecedented.
Yep.
And so we're experiencing those same sorts of things. So the face of the person coming to the food bank is very different.
Okay,
the demographic is shifting.
Well, you said before we started talking here that there really is no specific type that is
There's no typical
that comes
user,
to the
right?
food bank.
There isn't.
Can you just expand on that?
Absolutely. What we're seeing in the last couple of years, especially since COVID started, it's almost a reflection with many folks that have come to see us for the very first time in their lives. And they went, wait a minute, I never thought I would be in this lineup. And I actually am. COVID made that happen. It encouraged people to look at us in a different way. And it also almost forced people's hands to come and use us that never would have before. So I'll give you an example. We actually had a young couple, literally used their life savings, what little they had, and borrowed and whatever, to start a restaurant. They opened this restaurant. It wasn't operating for very long before COVID hit, and then all of a sudden there was this lockdown.
Yeah.
Right.
They were literally bringing us this type of product. So they emptied out their perishable product, and they brought it to the food bank. Literally 6 weeks later, they came to use us.
My goodness.
Like, what a different kind of demographic using us.
It is, yes.
Right?
One thing I know about Kamloopsians in general is they're pretty generous. And
Yes.
are you still seeing that now, even in these hard times? And how can people help if they want to?
Again, a very different donor pattern is evolving as well that we don't know what to expect. So what happened when COVID started is people hunkered down at home. Like, we all thought at the beginning, if you can remember the beginning of the pandemic, we all thought we were literally going to get this virus by touching things.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Right?
we were bleaching up groceries and everything. Yeah, it was crazy.
Right? So we didn't even understand how it was,
No.
spread at that time. And we were really all hunkered down at home. I remember thinking myself, I have no idea if I catch this, like, will I die?
Yeah.
We really were all thinking that. And so if you remember, you could hear a pin drop out in the streets.
Oh, yeah.
We were open at the food bank. We didn't close for one day.
Okay.
Because why? People needed us.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, people need food. It's a basic need, right? But also on that note, people were hunkered down in their homes on their computers and started giving, like giving and giving. They were like, I'm so glad that we don't have to use the food bank. I'm glad I'm able to work from home. People were really showing this sense of gratitude for their own.
Wasn't the spring food drive in the pandemic in 2020 the record-setting for pounds of food?
Yes.
So that shows you people really
So-
in tough times. They're
Yeah, and so exactly. So people were showing gratitude for the fact that they didn't have to use the food bank. They're like, thank you that my job ensures that I can work from home. I can still have a paycheck coming in. I can still, meet my basic needs. And not only that, some people were able to save money,
yes, that's right.
right? And they were giving to us online.
How about now? We have the inflation's going up. They say a recession's looming. It's a bear market out there. Everyone's expecting a recession, which who knows how it's going to be. How are donations now to the food bank, money and food?
Yeah.
How's it going right now?
So at the beginning, it was very generous. Now people are incredibly cautious. I think things have caught up to folks. It was really a spectrum. You either really suffered during COVID financially, or you did really well. There was very few that kind of just sat in the middle.
Yeah.
And so the folks, what we're noticing is that a lot of people went on CERB. Just as we didn't understand what the virus was about, we didn't understand CERB. And people are now shocked, and in our lineup, that they had to pay this money back.
Yeah, that's another topic. Exactly. Yes.
But you know what? They have to pay it back.
They do.
Including some of, so these people are going, oh my, it helped me through this time, and they didn't have to use the food bank. So at the beginning, when CERB started, our numbers accessing the food bank actually went down a little bit. People were getting enough money to, buy food, pay their basic needs. They weren't going out and spending, and they were able to, purchase this. Now they're coming back in line going, I don't have extra money. Where am I going to get this $2,000 I owe? They didn't understand even what they were getting into by applying for CERB, honestly, many folks. Yeah. So although it helped them in the short term, in the longer term, they have to pay it back, and they end up in our lineup sort of in the same numbers. That was the thing that shifted in COVID too, is that they actually identified food banks as an essential service.
Well, that's good.
Both provincially and federally. Yeah, they never mentioned the word food bank before that. I was shocked.
Well, because they're too busy going on charters and having $100,000 catering bills. That's why.
You're looking at the new Governor General over here, Chris.
Anyway,
Foulds.
that's if you watch the show, you see what I'm talking about.
We could talk for an hour. We're out of time.
Yes.
Governor General?
Absolutely.
We're out of time? How does that happen?
But we have time for the last word from you. So anything you want to say, the floor is yours.
Jeez, we are on a spectrum here at food banks. We have emergency food provision over here, legislative changes over here, and now we're working under this umbrella in context of this financial, who knows what, recession, meltdown, inflation. So we need to support both ends of that spectrum. We need to look at why people are using this food bank in whatever financial circumstances there are. So if we're looking at things like affordable housing, affordable childcare, all of those things that affect our folks coming, we need to look at legislative changes. We need to provide food in the meantime. And we need to remember that it could be us. If you actually look at those folks in our lineup and remember that could be you and really believe that, you look at things differently.
Sure, you do.
You look at things differently.
June 16th to the 22nd, if you go to Save on Foods and you buy Western Family products, some of the money goes to the food bank.
Yes.
Just so people out there, if you're going shopping, go to Save on
And
Foods.
they do this every year.
If you're not going to New Leaf, go to Save on Foods. Buy some...
Be careful, you
No, I'm just saying. You go to New Leaf and get
go
your
to
produce.
any one of our grocery stores in town.
But you go to Save on Foods, you buy a can of whatever, you buy
Get
some
some
coffee.
tomato juice on your shirt. You go to Gord's, you get a new washing machine.
That's right,
Gord's
yes.
Appliances
Is that how
Mattress
these
Center.
things happen?
Yes.
Our show
But,
happened because of our lovely sponsors. That's what we're trying to plug here.
I see that.
But this has been great.
Okay.
I could see one of you spilling tomato juice on your shirt. I could see that.
Okay.
All right.
Bernadette Siracky, a beam of sunshine on a sunny
A beam of
Kamloops
sunshine coming from up
Wednesday.
here. At Lee's Music.
At least me, right. She was really good too. She wants to co-host the show, so maybe at some point one of us will be out of here and she'll step in.
There you go.
Episode 50 coming up. Before we get to Heather Sutherland, I want to thank Lee Malboeuf because we don't do that enough. He makes all our logos.
Bad
He's
Beef.
our Bad Beef Malboeuf. I always give him a hard time, but I'm proud of you, Lee. Okay, thanks a lot for
He's
all
the
your...
production manager at KTW, and he's really good at graphic artists.
Yeah. Also, our music comes from Scott Finley and the Grand Ones, our little jingles that we have. Alan Douglas.
Oh, LED.
Alan Douglas
LED.
and Dave Eagles, Dave the Hawk Eagles. They have most of our photos come from them. I forgot today to even say that the Lions photos, those are from LED.
Those LED, yep.
You could say LED. Can you be in Sun Peaks this afternoon? LED's in Sun Peaks. He's probably there already.
He'll call you from there because he knows what you need.
He
ahead of time.
already knows.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's move on. The next story is about the Kamloops Skydivers Club, and Heather Sutherland's going to come on. Talked to her last summer. Called me up, said, we're in big trouble here. We've lost our landing zone. There's been construction on the pipeline, expansion at the airport, and if we don't have a landing zone, we're a skydiving club, we don't have a club. So they've been trying for 3 years now. They haven't been able to find a landing zone. So she contacted me again, said, we're closing down. So we're having her on right now in the Tattle of Hastings to talk about that.
And we've been trying for the last 3 years, whether it be farmers' fields or relocating our drop zone entirely, to find a new place to operate. And we unfortunately haven't been successful. So we have no choice now but to close our doors. It's no longer financially feasible to try and stay open without any kind of operations.
You sounded like you're a little bit emotional. You were talking about how it's a family at the club, and for a lot of people, it's extremely hard. So how are people feeling about this?
It's been tough. I mean, we've got 44 members that are regular jumpers, that we have here in Kamloops. But then there's also all of the other people that have touched the skydiving club over the last 60 plus years that we've been in operation.
You've been sending out letters over these past 3 years, and the biggest stumbling block when you go to, say, a farmer or whoever, somebody with some space to land, is liability, right? So why is that such a problem?
I don't understand the liability concern. I don't know if it is a excuse because maybe they just don't want us to land there, or they think maybe we might have an impact on their property in some way. But like I said, we've got $5 million in liability insurance, so I don't know.
There have been a few accidents over the years, and they've been reported in Kamloops media. Do you think that is in people's minds, and that has something to do with it?
Potentially. I mean, we had one accident at our May Meet event back in 2016, and then but those are the only two incidents that we've, had, at least in my tenure. When you think of the thousands of skydives that you do in a year, road, I guarantee you there's more car accidents than there are skydiving accidents, and there's statistics to prove that.
I think you said to me that there is one last ditch hope here. I mean, it basically has to happen yesterday is what you said. But so if there's somebody out there right now listening who has a space for you to land, the time is now to reach out to you and the club.
We have at this point, notified all appropriate parties, and we're working on our shutdown process. So if someone hasn't heard about our situation in the last few years, then if they came forward now, we should be able to undo the closing proceedings that we've already started, but it would have to be, in the next week or two. If someone is out there, that would be outstanding, but if not, Kamloops is going to lose over 60 years worth of history that, we've brought not just to Kamloops, but to the sport itself.
Well said. Thanks very much for your time.
Thanks so much.
I'm never going to do it. Nothing against the club, and I hope they survive. 60 years. Any club, 60 years. I hope they can somehow
Very
pull this
popular
out.
club. Very popular club. Yeah.
It's not for me. I like the ground. I'm happy on the ground.
But she's right, though. I mean, you have a better chance of getting hurt or killed in your car going from A to B than you do jumping out of a plane. But our minds don't work that way.
Yeah, and the liability. Yeah, hopefully they can find something that works. Yep. Okay, let's move on. Foulderdash.
Foulderdash?
Foulderdash.
Foulderdash? Foulderdash?
ACRIMONEY.
In this segment, if you haven't seen it, we love to combine your love for the English language with your tendency to pipe up on social media. The word of the day, acrimony. It's a play on acrimony, so you can't figure that out. So, Michael Potestio, writes a story about a lady who was... Oh, yes. He's Italian nemesis, Mike Potestio.
The northern Italian, the real Italian.
Yeah. Michael Potestio out there pounding the pavement, doing his job. Writes a story. I don't know if you assigned it, about a lady who was accepted a $50 counterfeit
It's just
deal.
it's an interesting story. It's not hard news. It's not breaking news, but I think it's interesting.
Okay, well, I'll tell you who didn't. His name is Funky Dad Dunk on Twitter. He's a loyal KTW reader.
Duncan Robertson.
Duncan
That's right.
Robertson.
Yep.
Okay, so here's what he says. He says, "Boo effing who? What a silly story. Tough luck, hemp store lady. Check your bills or go cashless. Unreal what passes for news these days." So, Foulds, lurking. He's not okay with this. He's going to bat for his guy, Michael Potestio. He says, in response to Funky Dunk, "Thanks. Period. Right away. We know about the period right away. Note to self, : make sure to check with Duncan Robertson at Funky Dad Dunk to confirm that all the news that is fit to print conforms to his worldview as you were current events consumer. And thanks for reading KTW."
Yes.
Your thoughts?
Oh, Duncan's a good guy. I don't know him, but I feel I know him through our Twitter exchanges. He's a good guy, and that was all in fun. I wasn't actually upset. In fact, I did that sans wine. It was just at dinner time, and he actually sent me what do the kids call it? DM, a personal message in Twitter to say, "Hey, I love your newspaper more than any other media in town. Your response I didn't like so much." And then I responded to him and said, "Hey, it's all good. I'm just busting your balls," because I'm a huge Goodfellas fan. And I said, "I'm just having fun with you. Criticism comes with the thing. I have skin as thick as the mountains. I don't care. We get lots. I was just having fun with you."
Yeah.
And he responded again and said, "Oh, that's good to know." So this was not a tirade. I was just having fun with him. That's
But
all.
he didn't originally read it like that, because did you see his response to
yes,
that?
yes.
He says, Funky Dunk, : "LOL, I actually love your paper versus the other media in town, Kamloops this week. But thanks for being so sensitive and snarky in your response. Again, boo effing who?
Yeah.
To the likely baked woman who accepted a counterfeit note. We have to say we have no proof that she was in fact under the influence at the time."
No. And he posted that before we had the exchange online, and it was just having some fun with him, because usually I just say forget it, you're not going to do it, especially with trolls, right? Because you don't win, and then of course other people jumped in.
There were a few pilers on there. Dylan Houlihan comes in, piles on,
Yeah.
because he had seen that Funky Dunk had posted about
Dunk is all about the road markings and the mayor's
the road markings, and the mayor lost
the mayor's
his thing.
chain of office got stolen from City Hall, and they still haven't found it. There's a rumor out there that a bylaws officer found it in a homeless encampment and threw it out, but that's unsubstantiated. Anyway,
Here comes Houlihan right in. Okay,
Yeah,
he piles
Houlihan,
in.
yeah.
He says, to make up for it, you should probably do an investigative piece about line painting and/or an update on the mayor's lost necklace. So he hammers in at Funky Dunk.
hammers into Funky, and then Joshua Knack comes
Joshua
in.
Knack, who is he after there?
Well, Joshua Knack is part of ARPA Investments, and they're transforming the entire North Shore. And he's I don't know him hardly at all, but we did have a bet. I'll put this out there. We had a bet a couple of years ago on the Canucks St. Louis game series in the playoffs.
More ACRIMONEY.
And because he was like going on about how because that's when the Oilers got knocked out by Chicago in the bubble in Edmonton, and I was like razzing Oiler fans, and he was like, well, he sent me tweeted at me, says the Canucks will lose to St. Louis, who were the defending champions. I said, do you want to bet? And like the uninspired guy he is, he goes, $20. I said, no. Here's the bet. The bet is the loser has to retweet Donald Trump tweets, because he hates Trump as much as me, once a day for a week with no explanation.
Okay.
And you also have to join the Republican Party of America if you can try, if you can. So he agreed to the bet. And then the Canucks beat St. Louis. So I said, pay up. On the third day, he said he couldn't keep retweeting Trump because it was making him sick. And
So
then
he
welched. Not only did he welch on the bet, he broke the covenant of the bet by explaining to people why he was retweeting Donald Trump when that's part of the bet.
This is the pot calling the kettle black, though, because nobody welches like you. You owe me about $50 worth of wings at the Fox and Hound.
I don't
baby.
welch at all.
So Joshua, I probably have your back here, bud.
Well, Joshua Knack, since he welched on me, he can buy you some wings and a pint and talk about the Oilers and all that kind of stuff. But this it's good that this is how social media, in my mind, it's a good thing. It's not nasty. People are having fun with it. And
this
that's
was
all it's
good. I was a
about.
little bit worried. This is, we want to thank our readers for engaging.
And we're
Funky
engaging with
Dunk,
them.
Joshua Knack.
Absolutely.
This is actually somewhat constructive. You guys started off a little bit acrimonious, but we're all friends now.
No, it's
Right,
all.
Mike?
It's all. This was all good. It was all just in fun. And sometimes, you want to engage with your readers to see that we're not just, automatrons. There's real people behind it, writing the stories and doing stuff like that. Yeah. Michael hasn't chimed in, but maybe he should.
He's probably crying at home. He's too busy crying about a silly story that he wrote. It wasn't a silly story, Mike. You do a great job.
And that's the whole point. As I said in my private message to Duncan, I said, yeah, it's not front page news and it's not TNRD stuff, but sometimes you got to intersperse some just interesting, quirky, funny stories amid all the doom and gloom and serious stuff. And I think today's newspaper on June 15th is today. Our newspaper today is one of the best we've had in a long time with respect to breadth and diversity of stories. There's a lot of good stuff in there. Yeah.
It's just great to see people advertising as well. I mean, if we have a bigger paper, that means maybe people are advertising.
100 plus pages today, so it's good to see that people have faith in us, and it's going well, actually, yeah.
And a lot of that has to do with our fantastic reporters, like Jessica Wallace, like Sean Brady, like Michael Potestio. And listen to them right now, a few of them anyway, in the Last Week Clique.
Conversation continues about how to solve the family doctor shortage in Kamloops. Yesterday at Kamloops City Council, a delegation came forward with some ideas that have been done in other communities that are grappling with this issue. We heard from the Royal Inland Hospital Foundation as well as the Thompson Region Division of Family Practice, and some of the ideas included tax incentives, coverage of education, and maybe even furniture to get these family doctors' offices started. We heard that this is a community issue because doctors' offices are run like businesses, so these stakeholders argue that the city should play a role in trying to attract these doctors to our community. So Kamloops City Council, they agreed. They said, let's look into this. So we should hear in the coming months some potential proposals, ideas, and as we know, there are a lot of people in our community without family doctors. So the delegation had made clear that this is an issue that cannot wait.
So this here, that is a genuine Canadian $50 bill. This, unfortunately, is not. It's a fake 50 that the owner of the Desert Hemp Hut down on 4th was passed last week. It says the words film production on it. She believes that it came from someone working on a film set. It's honestly a real mystery, but at the end of the day, the woman unfortunately is out the $50, and it's just a cautionary tale for people to keep their eyes open when it comes to accepting that legal tender. Back to you guys in the studio.
I'm going to have to edit probably a lot of it, but it's going to be tough to cut things out because I thought it was a lot of fun. What did you like about the show?
Everything. It's all good.
Everything.
Yeah. Well, the connection with the skydiving interview was a little bit wonky there, but
the connection was a bit wonky.
Yeah, that was a technical thing out of our.
Who do we blame here? Mike and Greg?
Mike Potestio.
Yeah.
Michael Potestio, I think, is firmly on the hook for this, no doubt about it.
No, it's good. It's all good.
Certainly not Herman on the hook for anything except for being a great sponsor on this show, just like Gord. And just like Gord Stevens down here, who takes center stage next week, they are co-title sponsors. Gord's and New Leaf. This is Steve Gordon. I'm working on a music video. His ego's out of control. Lots of photos with him and making a song. And of course, New Leaf Produce Market today. Get on down there. Strawberry season. And, Mike, one more time, please.
Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba.
McDonald's. Episode 49 in the books. We'll see you last week.